Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast. This is Jessica Butts, your host and CEO and creator of Front Seat Life, where I help you be unapologetically who you are in your life, love, and business. Welcome, Front Seat Lifers. This is your host, Jessica Butts, and we are on week 4 of the dichotomies. So this is episode 6, I think, and then we are talking for the last 4 weeks about introversion, extroversion, sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, judging, and perceiving. And today's episode is one of my all-time favorites that I will probably ever do because it is about my favorite dichotomy, which is judging and perceiving. So if you need to go back and understand really what judging and perceiving is, just scoot back to episode 1 and 2, and it will describe really what judging and perceiving is. But a tiny little recap is it really is how we like to be organized in this world. And the population differential is about 50-50. But this dichotomy is one of my favorites because there's so much juiciness and richness in it. And so today's guest is David Walthew again. He's been on the last 3 episodes because he's such a great example of somebody who was in my life that we were complete opposites in this area. In fact, he was an ex-boyfriend of mine, and really part of the demise of our relationship is because we were so different in this area. I think you're going to enjoy the stories. I think you'll learn a lot about yourself through David's stories and through my stories about what it's like to be in a relationship with the exact opposite person. So as strong J's, we are very organized, we're decisive decision makers, and let's get totally real, we're a bunch of control freaks. We like things our own way. We like to be in control of ourselves and other people and everything around us. And P's are much more go with the flow people. They are undaunted by surprise. They're like, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out kinds of people, and we drive each other crazy. So P's drive J's, us J's, absolutely crazy because they're people who live 5 minutes in front of their face. They don't do a lot of planning, and they just really go about the world in this beautiful, easy breezy kind of way. And then there's the J's, and we obviously drive P's crazy because we're a bunch of control freaks and we need to know what's the plan, where are we going, what's happening, what's going on in our lives. And when you can see these differences in a friendship like mine and David's, I think you can learn a lot about it. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I actually just re-listened to it before I did this intro, and I was actually cracking myself up. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. And if you do, please jump over to iTunes and give us a rate and review because they mean absolutely everything to us. So thank you so much and enjoy the episode. So, David, I have asked you here today because I want to talk about a number of different things. So, listeners, David was my first boyfriend after my divorce. He was my very first date. Literally my first date right after I got divorced.
And this is like 5 years ago, probably, right?
5.5 years ago. Yep.
Jeez, okay.
I know. Is that crazy?
But we've stayed friends.
We have. Hence, you're in my house right now.
Yes.
We're recording.
Which is lovely, by the way.
Thank
I love
you.
your house.
Thank you.
Lots of splashes of Tiffany blue. I love it.
Thank you.
It's so good.
So I actually asked David to be on multiple episodes of this podcast because you and I had something that I had never experienced before. And I want to talk about literally a plethora of different things around personality types around our relationship. Because one of the main things is, as I met you, like right off the bat when I met you, I was so attracted. So David, let's back up. David is an ENFP and I'm an ENFJ.
Remind me of these.
So ENFP of you. So we're both very extroverted.
Clearly.
We're both very intuitive. Like I'm a 30 out of 30. David probably is too.
Like just when you were fiddling with this thing, your energy changed. I was like, what happened? Your energy just changed. Like
because I went
can
into
feel it.
detail mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then he is a rare feeling man, which I want to address.
Okay.
And I'm a feeler as well. And our only difference, which was part of what I want to talk about, is kind of the demise of our relationship. Granted, I just wasn't ready, and he told me that on our first date.
I did.
Yeah. Wait, do you remember what you said?
I remember our first date was in Mercer Island.
Yes.
And you the thing when you meet somebody, what it too was, tell me about your heartache and I'll tell you about my heartache, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, well, when did it end? And you're like, it just did. You're my first date. I'm like, wait a second, I'm like, this can never work. She's like, what do you mean? And I said, this can never work because now if you were married to somebody for 5 years, it could work. But it was like a long marriage, like 20 years or something. I'm like, this can never work.
Yes.
So I knew it could never work.
Yeah.
But I said, well, let's see what happens and this will be fun.
Yeah.
But I knew. And
Yes.
it wasn't like your college sweetheart. It was like 20 years. And it was a whole situation.
Yes.
But I remember it was at that place in Mercer Island.
Yep.
And
the Roanoke.
I remember as a kid, I loved sports journalism. So I read the newspaper. This is before internets.
Yeah.
And I loved the paper.
Yeah.
And I said, your dad is Clarence Farnsworth? I've read your dad's articles for 20 years. And I was like, wait a second. I know your father. I mean, I don't know him, but I know who he is. And I read, he was a very well-known sports journalist here in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I knew who it was. And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And we had this great chemistry and we were eating food. And maybe it was like we were at Mercer Island. And then you said, this is my first date. And I was like, oh, well, this will never work.
Yeah. Well, and it worked for about 6 or 7 months.
Yes.
And we had a shitload of fun together.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to Mexico together. We went to Hawaii together. And the reason I'm doing this podcast, I mean, the reason that I have David on here, the reason I'm doing this is because I want people to see their relationships through other people's stories. And I am willing to have these conversations, be super vulnerable about what a control freak bitch that I can be. And David is here willing to talk about like living 5 minutes in front of his face. And so this episode is truly about that last letter, about the J and the P, because he and I click on so many different levels. So, I'm dating someone right now. We were just talking in my kitchen about he's introverted and David's extroverted. And I was like, God, I kind of miss like that extroverted banter that we had going. And even when he got here, we were just nonstop. It's like bing, 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 bing. So 2 extroverts together, that's what we do. The big picture in us, that intuitive is, I will never forget. I mean, one moment in particular in our relationship, and I wonder if you remember it. We were in Cabo and we were sitting next to this fire having like pizza dinner or something. Right. And you and I literally just like, we were going to change the world. I mean, we had all these ideas. You were just bing, 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 bing. I mean, we just had it all played out. It was amazing. So that in us is like a super connection. And if you're watching, those are like super connected pieces when you're in any relationship, really. And then David is also a feeler, which is a really wonderful thing. And when 2 feelers can come together, but that's a whole nother episode. So we'll talk about that at another episode.
Did you think, and I was thinking about that when we went to Mexico, we had not been together very long.
No, bro, we went straight in hard and fast, buddy.
Which surprised me, like you now knowing kind of, and actually being with you, I learned a lot more about personality types and Myers and Briggs and all that, which I didn't really know anything. But now thinking about that, for me, I'll meet you in Mexico. Let's go.
Of course.
But for you, that was kind of a leap of faith for you.
Yeah.
Too.
There is a part of me. So my N is super, super strong. And so I just jump in and leap a little bit more. So that would be the sensing part of people. So when they're methodical and they think about things and they need proof or whatever, like I don't need that. I'm a leaper. And that's definitely what we share. So we're leapers. Right. That's why we were able to like go so fast, so quick, is because neither one of us have a logical bone in our body.
Right.
No logic.
Were you nervous about it? Like
not at all.
You weren't?
No. Were you?
No. I wanted the adventure and it sounded fun. And, it was new. We hadn't been together very long when we did that. Yeah. And I remember... And I didn't travel very much. And, I wasn't some rich guy who go. So it was, for me, it was pretty exciting. But I can remember getting on a plane and going to Mexico and you end up in an airport in Mexico. It's like, I hope she's there, dude. I don't I don't know her that well.
Oh my God.
And I remember you got to take a bus from the airport and we stayed at this, what was that place called?
Pueblo Bonito, Sunset Beach.
Shout
out to that place.
Oh my God. I mean, amazing. So the bus pulls up and this is amazing. I was like, I hope she's here because I probably got enough money to get home. Barely. And you did, and we had so much fun. But I remember thinking, boy, that was pretty big. Yeah. Somebody so structured and oriented and detailed. Yes. That was pretty risky. Yeah. But a wonderful time.
Okay, so now, we've talked about all the good stuff. We've kind of talked about all of our wonderful connected piece, why we're so connected, why we were so connected, why it was easy. Yeah. So let's have an honest conversation. And listeners, I have not prepped him on this. He wouldn't let me prep him on it. He just wanted it to be from the cuff. And I want to just have a really transparent conversation about how I showed up and how you showed up in my eyes, because this is not about us. This is about people being able to learn about themselves and learn about their partners. So I don't really know what episode we're on right now, but there's plenty of episodes that have already taught you already about introversion, extroversion, sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving. I've had different people on. Go back and listen to those. You've heard all about those. But the big difference between David and I, and you can probably even sense we have very similar energy. And this isn't to say, and I need to be very clear, this isn't to say that we couldn't have made it, or if you're married to your opposite type, that you can't obviously make it work. This is about educating yourself on who you are and then understanding your differences. And so on that note, I am a very strong J, as we all know now. And I know now in hindsight.
Tell me Jay again.
Super, super structured, organized, bossy, bitchy.
Oh my God.
Okay. So do you want to start by saying something about that? Having a reaction?
No. I mean, it's probably what I was attracted to. Being somebody who's not. I mean, I know for me, I was married for a long time before, and she was also that way. And I think somebody who's like me, you want to make up for the things you're not good at. So for me,
totally.
Oh God, she'll know exactly what time the water bill's due, and she'll know what time we have to be at mother's house for Thanksgiving, and she'll know. Even with you, I can remember thinking, "Oh God, all the details. Who cares?" But really, somebody's got to be mining the fort, or somebody's got to be in charge of that stuff. So, maybe I've gotten older and grown, but what I used to think was, who cares? Frivolous. It's not important. It's actually very important. I think I've gotten older and understood that a little bit better.
And so that showed up a ton in our relationship, because as Jays, whether you're female or male and you're listening right now, Jays, we are the ones who get turned to for those things. We're going to divert a tiny bit here, but I'm going to do an entire episode on this. Probably, I think the next episode is actually about masculine and feminine energy. And feeling men like David have a propensity to have more feminine energy, which means feminine is attracted to masculine. And then J's, me, controlling J women, and then thinking women, which was your ex-wife and your mom.
Yes, absolutely. And my current girlfriend.
And your current girlfriend are all thinking J's. So they're thinking women and they're J's. And so they're strong, they're opinionated, they're logical, they're systematic, and they're pretty masculine. Absolutely. And they are the bossy ones. They're telling. So I don't have that super masculine part, but there is that kind of bossiness. And I know that showed up when we were together, because there would be times where you would just check my shit. I mean, you would just be like, we used to have a thing, and you'd be like, you are climbing the ladder right now. Mm-hmm. And you would have to step into your masculine and kind of boss me around.
I remember this. Yeah.
Yes.
And probably not the place I would naturally go. It's probably not where, but there was times I felt like I'm back all the way as far as back as I can go. And it's somewhere I didn't naturally go.
Yes.
And probably just somebody who's feminine, like I am.
Feminine energy. You are not feminine.
I'm not feminine.
Energy. Yes.
But I probably, to a point, I can remember, when we moved in together, I can remember some of my things would just push your buttons and make you very upset. And I can remember having arguments about garbage cans or just nonsense in the kitchen or something like that. And I can remember it would really upset you. And
it's so stupid. Like, I'm actually embarrassed sitting here listening to you tell that story, but I know that I did it. And the whole reason that I'm doing this freaking podcast is so that people can understand themselves. It doesn't mean, I mean, I was 40 years old at the time. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to grow out of it. Yes, we evolve. Yes, we grow, but we do still have this propensity and this tendency and this go-to to react as our personality type. And so that is like this go-to for me in my bossy energy.
But to be fair, you know, and I'm almost 50 years old now and kind of thinking about that, it takes two to tango. And I think it's 50-50. I think for me, and I did this in my marriage that ended, the same thing. She had same J personality. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that I let her know exactly when everything is due, and you organize Christmas, and and I did the same thing to you. And my personality was, hey, it's not a very big deal.
Yeah.
And why are they so into this? But now, as I've gotten older and kind of maybe hopefully learned some things, I couldn't talk to my ex-wife for like 10 years.
Oh my God.
Like, could not communicate with her. It was a whole situation. I was hurt, but now I kind of talk, and how are the kids? And I recognize now what I thought was, and it was the same with you. It's not fair. And I put too much burden on you. And of course it's going to have a weight on the relationship, and there's going to be an outcome. And I should have taken more responsibility on those little things that seem so silly or trivial, but over 100 of those, it adds up to something that has weight and merit. And I kind of wish, especially in my marriage, I wish, boy, I didn't recognize how important that was. And that wasn't fair to her.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to be the victim and kind of play, poor me. Poor me.
Yes. And I will say too, so putting my, psychotherapy hat on, I did a lot of couples therapy for a long time, is that couples take on roles and rules. And as we step into our personality type, there are roles and rules that kind of come along that we play into those characters. And so your ex-wife or me in our relationship, I would step into this is what we're going to do, and this is what I need, and are you going to be here, and blah, 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 blah. And you stepped into the role of like, let's just go with the flow. Like, don't worry about it, girl. Like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. As, Jays know now, that's like the least favorite thing you can say to a Jay is don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But that is your natural tendency, as it is for a Jay's mind to be super controlling and kind of bossy in that way. But again, this is just kind of, I think, learning about ourselves and asking ourselves, like you are now, is this the role that I still want to play? So as you evolve through these relationships, and you're, now talking to your ex-wife, and, we've seen our relationship, and you're now in a new relationship, is how do I want to show up different? It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That's the other thing, is that we have a natural tendency, but when we're with somebody who's opposite of us, it's not always about getting everything that we need, but also understanding what they may need and how they may need to be communicated to, which is hard.
It is.
It's hard. It's just like, it reminds me of it always reminds me of Gary Chapman's The 5 Love Languages. Like, if it's your opposite love language, like if your person wants you to frickin' vacuum because there's this acts of service and you just want to have sex, like that is not that much fun.
Right.
And you have to put in the effort to make it work. And personality type is very much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to think about one of the things that, as a J, that drove you the most nuts. And then I'm going to tell my story about you that drove me fucking crazy. Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. So, my friends, this man.
Yeah.
I love that you don't know what I'm about to say.
It's
actually not that bad, but it was the most hilarious thing to me. So, P's in general, but this man that I was in a relationship was really the first P. You were the first P I've ever been like in a relationship with.
Right.
And so I was.
Please tell me again. I know. I should
just go with the flow. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Totally. Okay.
This is a perfect example.
I should know this.
This is a perfect example. You should by now.
Yeah.
And so I, was raised by Jays. They're all around me, the whole thing. So this guy, when I first started dating, I didn't realize you would go to the grocery store
yes,
every single day.
Still do. Absolutely.
Because you don't know you can't plan ahead. There's no thinking
Absolutely not.
There's no thinking ahead about
not only can't plan ahead, and this is, hey, if we're going to talk about person, it actually gives me anxiety.
To plan ahead?
Like you just saying this is giving me
oh my God.
It makes me uncomfortable, makes me nervous,
Which part?
Thinking about just when you said that, it makes me think if I was going to buy a week's worth of food,
oh my God.
that gives me so much anxiety is the wrong word, but so much
nervousness.
Angst.
Okay. Come on, listeners. Is this not utterly fascinating?
I don't know what I'm going to have for lunch next Thursday at noon. I don't know. That gives me, just saying that gives me anxiety.
Okay. This is I love this conversation. I love this conversation because
I hate that. It's more than just, oh, that's weird. It's that bothers me to that. Before I met my current girlfriend, I had never set foot in a Costco in my entire life. Now her, in her personality, she'll buy food for the month. Who would buy 400 rolls of toilet paper? I had never
SJ's, your girlfriend,
set foot in a Costco.
Okay.
Why would I?
Okay, I'm going to tell the story.
Yeah.
You're fucking killing me for this. Yeah. Okay, the first time we had sex.
Okay, we're
in your apartment, we get done. Okay, you guys, I'm thirsty. And right. I asked the guy for some water, and you didn't have a glass.
Because why would I? They give you a cup at Taco Time when you buy your lunch, and there's a cup.
This is the best.
I had a dog bowl. I had bowls for my dog, I think.
Did I drink out of it?
I mean, I had bowls for the dog.
Oh, my God.
Maybe it was a bowl.
I drank out of a dog bowl.
I'm sure.
I don't know. Oh my God.
Now that's probably too far. I was 40 something years old.
You had no glasses.
No.
Okay.
Zero.
Okay. Well,
probably nothing in the refrigerator.
Nothing. That's actually, I don't have a lot of shit in my refrigerator, but I have some cups.
Yeah.
This episode left you wanting more? Do you have questions for me? Are you interested in a community of like-minded people? Well, if the answer is yes, there is good news because there is a community just for you for all of those things, and it's called the Front Seat Life Community. You can join for a very, very small fee, and we go live every single Monday where I answer your questions. We have a masterclass once a month with a team of experts from Front Seat Life, and we have community get-togethers. I do hope you will join me. You can learn more at a link below, and I cannot wait to see you in there. These are all great stories. This is not to embarrass you. This is not to make anyone uncomfortable. These are stories of real life stories about the differences between us, because that is a damn good story. And what's fascinating is that planning ahead, thinking ahead gives you anxiety.
Yeah.
But as the Jays know,
right,
the worst possible thing you can say to a Jay is,
don't worry, we'll figure it out as we go.
Anxiety.
And I didn't know that.
Anxiety.
Actually, that's one of the great things I've taken. I did not recognize what a terrible thing that is. Because in business, the most successful people usually have a J tendency.
Yep.
I used to call them when, to tell them my feminine side. I've worked in cosmetics and women's clothing my whole career. I'm very comfortable in that environment. So a lot of people who get ahead are those characteristics of drive and organization tend to get people promoted. So a lot of people above me in my career have had that. And this has also been something I've learned. If I went to my district manager and said, oh, we'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
To me, I'm thinking, well, I'll just figure it out.
No.
To them, they're like,
we need a plan, bro.
Exactly.
We need a plan.
So I didn't recognize what a terrible thing that was to say.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So anybody who's listening, please, if that's something that you do, no.
Don't do that.
No.
And actually, I've learned that.
Good.
That's been a lesson I've taken from
your new girlfriend can call me and thank me for that.
Well, more my bosses. Yeah.
They can call and thank me. Okay. So did you come up with a thing that my Jayness drove you completely crazy now that I've embarrassed you?
I remember an incident, and I understand the personality traits and all that. To me, and this was clearly the biggest riff in our relationship, was a huge gulf was the J's and the P's
Yep.
and how different we saw it. And
Yep.
really it was. But to me, when I think of our time together, I think had we met a year later, or maybe 2 years later,
I was just thinking the same thing, actually.
I think that gulf, no relationship's going to be perfect. And I don't care if on paper it can be, there's going to be conflict and issues.
Yeah.
Had we met a year, probably 2 years later, this wouldn't have sabotaged our relationship. I think we would have made it probably. To me, and I knew as soon as you said, I've just come out of this 20-year relationship, I was like, there's no chance. And I honestly believe. So when it ended, I wasn't shocked.
Yeah.
I always had gone into it and it's like, well, this will be as fun as it can last.
Yeah.
A couple things that stand out for me is I can remember pretty severe arguments in a kitchen about garbage cans and what's in the garbage cans and how did this get there.
Really?
Yeah.
God,
and I don't know if this is part of it.
So embarrassing.
There's part of during that time. I don't know if you know this, but I'm just going to share it if we're going to be open and honest. I was a fat kid and had wrestled my weight my whole life and had up until that point, I did a good job of masking it almost to the point where people didn't know it bothered me. Like I can remember you saying, "You're so fat, but you don't act like you're fat," or something.
I'm pretty sure I didn't say it that way, but
paraphrasing.
Okay,
paraphrasing.
Thank you.
And I can remember there's a lot of hiding things as a fat person. One, hiding that I don't want you to know how much it bothers me that I'm fat. I don't want you to know. Hiding wrappers of food. There was a lot of hiding and pretending that it doesn't bother me when in fact it bothered me probably more than anything. And I think when you hide something and somebody finds it, it's worse. So if you found a wrapper of Subway sandwiches and like, what is this? One, I'm embarrassed. Two, I don't like you snooping around. But the biggest thing is you found my biggest secret out.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Here's my biggest secret. And I'm pretending that it doesn't bother me. And since then, I've had weight loss surgery and I've lost like 140 pounds and fitness has been a part of my life. But at that time we were together, I was hiding it from you, from pretty much everybody. It was a secret I kept pretty close to my heart. I don't know if this is part of it, but I'll share with you some of the things you taught me. And I would be like, oh, structure, we'll go with the flow structure. But I didn't get success until I incorporated some of the things you really shared with me. And I'm never going to be super structured or organized. Yeah. But just to incorporate some, like for me, which was really hard was, okay, to get weight loss surgery, one, it's kind of embarrassing and there's a lot of shame with it. But I said, hey, if I'm going to do this, and it was a whole situation, years of paperwork and insurance and a nightmare. Things that you can imagine how much I hate. Oh, where's form 264?
I don't know what that means.
Where's the form? I don't know where the form is.
Yeah.
We need you to resend it.
Yeah.
For me, that's really hard.
Yeah.
But
all intuitives, but especially P's. Yeah. And P's, it's a nightmare. And you'll just give up.
I'll just forget. Yeah. But I wanted it.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed it. And I was getting older and my weight was really out of control. So I'd really have to, here's all the forms for the insurance. But to finish my story is, somebody like me, if I just incorporated just 5% better at organization. So for me, hey, I have to write down what I'm eating because I have to turn it into the doctor. And this is important to me. And they won't greenlight the surgery until the insurance company has proven that I can keep a food journal. And you can imagine that's my nightmare of keeping organized. Yeah. But I wanted it and it was important to me. So I had to use some of those things I'm not good at. Yeah. Just a little bit, because I'm not good at it. And I know we always talk, don't do things you suck at. Just don't. Let somebody who's good at it push these buttons and make this rate. I mean, why would I do it? Yeah. But I had to use some of that. Some food journals. Yeah. And then we were just talking before we started, like, God, now it's a habit and now it's not so hard.
And you're super structured, super
structured. And I do the same thing. I wake up at the same time.
Probably eat a lot of the same stuff.
Eat the same. So, So like, because I'm not good at that, if I know I wake up at this time and I do this exercise, so incorporating some of that J stuff has really helped. Yep. I guess a long way to answer your question, when we were together, I was hiding how much my weight I was trying to hide from you. Yeah. To be open and honest now. That makes sense.
It does. And it makes me sad hearing that. And I'm glad that we're friends, and I'm glad that we can talk about this stuff, because it is huge learning. And our relationship was very significant I feel like, for a lot of different reasons. Like, I learned just to go back to the very beginning of, like, I was so attracted to you because you were the exact opposite of my ex-husband. You were literally the exact opposite. You were the biggest breath of fresh air I'd had in 20 years. And it was just this, like, unbelievable chemistry and all of that. And so it's just fun that we can be able to talk about this and realize
and I'm so grateful that we weren't 20 and we could be grown ups.
Yeah.
There's been times over this last, we've been broken up for 5 years or something.
Yeah.
But there's been times when I've called you and said, hey, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with this. Or we've still, I wouldn't say we're best friends, but there's times it's like, God, only Jess would get this. Like, only Jess would understand. I had this I will share this with you. There was one where you were the only person on planet Earth who would understand this.
I can't wait to hear what it is.
The only person on planet Earth who would get this. And I shared with you the weight thing. And I worked really hard. Yeah. And I've lost a lot of weight. And it's been a process. And I sing in a cover band, as you know. Shout out to Rain City Time Machine. I will
definitely total shout out for Seattle listeners, Rain City Time Machine. Yes. He is this brilliant lead singer in this gorgeous band. They are so freaking fun. You guys are amazing. Yes. And it's all your creativity. I love it.
And I love it. And for me, I grew up in Edmonds. And there was this thing, it's called the Taste of Edmonds. And when we started this band, my dream was the band to play the Taste of Edmonds. And this is 10 years ago. I had this vision of losing the weight, being on stage, singing. I had even the vision of the shirt I wore. So the high school I went to, I had the shirt made of the high school I went. I had this vision 10 years ago. So this summer, my band played there. I wore the shirt. The vision in my head was I was on stage and it was like, I have done this before. I had thought about it so much. The only thing in my head, this was a beautiful summer here in Seattle. There was one day, it was kind of cloudy, and it was the day. So everything was exactly like my vision, except the weather. And the weather in my head, it was a sunnier day. But,
isn't that an amazing moment?
And I called you, or I texted you.
I remember.
And I said, you were the only one that understand this.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, you were like, whatever.
No, I was not.
You were kind of like, okay. But to me, I was like, only you would get this. Yes. I said, I had dreamed of this. I had lost this weight, and the band had played there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share it with somebody.
And this is our intuitiveness. So this isn't what this episode is about, but don't. This is this is the intuitive in us. And that's all. In fact, David's going to be on that episode too. So we'll talk more about that then. But this is so that dreamy, fun part that when you're picking friends, these are typically the friends that you pick. But when we're picking partners, oftentimes we pick the opposite because there's this old, like, weirdo, like, caveman-esque bullshit mentality that we have of completing us.
Right. You're good at hunting. I'm good at gathering berries. Let's pool our resources.
Yes. So, like, as a couple, it was still super exciting and sexy and fun and exciting to talk about all that stuff. But then it was like, okay, now we got to get some stuff done. Okay, so before we end this episode, I want to talk just for a couple of minutes about this idea, because you brought it up about don't do stuff that you suck at.
Right.
And the being versus the doing part. And so David just told this beautiful story about his weight loss and having to be structured and having to put all this stuff in and having to do the things. So in our personality type, the only letter that doesn't belong in our car, so go back, listen to some old episodes to find out more about what that means. But the only part that doesn't get to be in our car, the only part that we don't get to say, I suck at that, therefore I'm not going to do it, is the J and the P. And David just summed it up, not even knowing how perfect that is in terms of P's, like David, has to learn how to implement some system structure, singular focus into his life, or he's going to be a hot fucking mess, or you're going to weigh whatever you weighed, or you're going to you're never going to pay your bills, or you're never going to have whatever the thing is, right? So there's all the stuff.
Right.
And then as a strong J, and this is actually pretty interesting because this was kind of my year. I even tattooed it on my arm. I tattooed B on my arm for my 45th birthday when I was in Maui, is because as a strong J, it makes me choke up a little bit. Like, it ruins my life sometimes. I am so driven. I'm so organized. I'm so bossy. It serves me incredibly well in my business, but then my personal life, it's like, I want to know everything. I want to control it. I want to manage it. What's happening here, where you go. It becomes this, it's a bit of an obsession. Yeah. And but it serves me well, but it's also ruining my life. And so J's have to learn how to be.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So did I not have to learn how to be when we were together?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know some of this then. I didn't even have this tie-in yet. And then P's, like David, they have to learn how to do.
Yeah.
So I'm a doer naturally. It's just easy for me. It's easy to be in charge. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's real hard to be.
Right.
It's easy to be, and you got to put some work in to do. Yeah, right.
And I don't think, had I not met you, I don't think I would have got that.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm just thinking of this now. I can remember during that process of getting the insurance and beginning really structuredness, thinking of you and thinking Jess would say, get your shit together and organize and get a goddamn journal and some blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God, he just did a jerk off move, by the way, on the podcast. That's always lovely.
I needed that.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's so many people like you that even just that 2 or 3% that I incorporated to help me.
Yeah.
I would say for people like you, that 2 or 3% of who cares? If it doesn't matter in 5 minutes, in 5 years from now, did it really matter?
Yeah.
You guys take 2 or 3% of that. I'm some expert, but I would say sometimes, don't write a journal today.
Yeah.
Go eat a goddamn ice cream cone. I don't know. Like, whatever.
But how much is that? I think let's wrap this up with how much has implementing some of it changed?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And again, I will say the same for me. It doesn't mean that J's are right and P's are wrong, because I literally I tattooed it on my freaking arm, for Christ's sake. I don't have any other tattoos. It's on my forearm. So to remind myself, basically to chill the fuck out. Right. I mean, I could have written that on there, but instead I wrote B. Yeah. Like, just relax a little bit. And as I learn that, it just makes me a more, we'll use the word, it makes me a better person.
Yeah.
It does make me a better person. It makes me better to be around. Right. It makes me remind myself to quit being such a controlling bitch all the time and just like calm down, go with the flow. And here's the other part of this. And this is kind of the next book coming, is love me for who I am, but also love other people for who they are. Like, how much have I grown that I could have seen you and loved all the good qualities, but what did I do? I chose to pick on all the shit that wasn't perfect. And I let that ruin potentially a relationship or what. I mean, I hurt you, and I'm sure by doing all of those kinds of things. And that is our natural tendency, but it doesn't mean it's right. The other 3 dichotomies, though, you get to say, I suck at that, don't do it. But this one in particular,
it's just how we're wired.
It's how we're wired, but it will also ruin your life. I mean, J's are just these. I mean, I'm going to have Pia on here, a dear friend of mine, my web designer. She's probably the most J woman I've ever met in my life. And she's going to come on and talk about like how it's basically like ruined her life in a lot of different ways. And that if she doesn't chill out, the anxiety, the relationship issues, the marriage issues, the relationship issues with her friends, it comes up because we can't relax. But in your life too, it was ruining, your health, your vessel, your body.
You can't just eat whatever you want.
Apparently not.
After 20, you can't do that. And that's what I didn't have any structure.
Yeah.
Hamburgers taste good. Let's have one at 2 a.m.
Yeah. I remember, I hope you don't mind me telling you this. I remember you telling me once about your kids, that if you had just gotten divorced and the kids were home at a normal age and there was no food and you were like, fuck, what do I do? Yeah. Oh, I just order a pizza and oh my God, I have to have it delivered and all the thing. It's very reactive.
That happened a lot, actually. My poor kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dad, there's no food. Domino's will be there. I was at work, It's
so reactive.
Yeah, not good. Okay. Not good.
All right. We're about to talk about a whole bunch of other things too. So,
okay.
Yeah, you don't maybe know that, but I'm gonna like keep talking to you. So, stay tuned. Listen to some other episodes. I'm gonna keep David on, and we're gonna talk about the feeling stuff, and we're gonna talk about growing up as a feeler and a bunch of other.
Ooh, I like that topic. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to say before we close, Mister?
I don't want you to beat yourself up. And part of my thing is my favorite with my relationship with you and some of the others is that moment. I can remember a moment. I think we were in Mexico and we walked in to a bar or something and they were playing a Grease song. Do you remember?
It was the best. It was one of the best moments of my whole life.
So there was not that many people in the
oh
bar.
My God, we went crazy.
And I love Grease.
We went crazy.
And we did the whole version of.
Oh my God.
You're the one that I want.
It.
And the whole people there was just watched like we had rehearsed this.
Oh yeah. They thought it was like our wedding like routine or something. We're like, no, we've actually known each other about a month. Yeah.
But the moments
that was fun.
Jays can just have this moment. That's really, I can remember times with you when that happened. So you probably got off when I organized the recycling.
I totally did. I have to say, this is one of the like sexiest things a man can say to me, and this is super embarrassing. And I dated someone, I don't know, a couple years ago that one of the first, like when we decided we were exclusive, he was like, okay, so I'm going to come over tonight and I'd like us to sync our calendars.
Wow.
And I literally like had a mini orgasm. I was like, that is the sexiest damn thing. It was so sexy. It's sad, but sexy. Yeah. So he wants me to like sing Grease and chill out and just go with the flow. Right. And I want a man to say, let's sync our calendars.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thank you. All right, everybody, I have a confession to make. I have a new obsession, and that obsession is reading your ridiculously wonderful, loving, amazing reviews on iTunes. I love them. None of this even matters without all of you. So as a thank you, each week I will be reading one review on air and calling out your review with your name or your iTunes handle. So here's how it's going to go. You're going to go to Instagram and follow me at Front Seat Life. When you hear your name called out on the podcast, you are going to send me a DM with your address and say, oh my gosh, you just read my review. And I or my team will be sending you some Front Seat Life swag. We've got books and we've got tank tops and we've got journals and we have these adorable pink swells. So we will be choosing from the goodie bag and sending it out as a thank you. So thank you in advance. And I am so deeply honored to have the opportunity to thank you back. This week's review comes from probably my favorite handle I've ever seen is Girly Gator, and her subject line is "Love this!" exclamation point. She writes, "You always bring powerful nuggets of truth and keep it real. First heard you on Shameless Mom Academy, which I love, Sarah Dean's podcast, and I have since bought your book. Love all you do, and this podcast doesn't disappoint." Girly Gator, thank you so much. Don't forget, go to my Instagram page, Front Seat Life. Obviously, like my page, send me a DM if you just heard your handle, and we will gladly and lovingly send you some Front Seat Life swag. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.